Hello, and welcome back to Human Observation Lab. I'm New York, your host and observer of human behavior patterns. Today, we have a fascinating collection of news stories that all seem to point to one underlying theme: our modern obsession with understanding ourselves.
Hi everyone, I'm Wan, and you're right, New York. Looking at the news this week, there's so much about personality tests, AI self-analysis, and even how our partners affect our success. It feels like everyone's trying to figure out who they really are.
Precisely. We have stories about AI-powered self-analysis tools selling rapidly, new coaching courses on non-cognitive skills, research on how spousal personality affects career success, and insights from a renowned developmental psychologist on parenting. What's interesting is not just the content, but why society is so hungry for these frameworks.
That's so true. I feel like my social media is full of personality tests and which type are you content. People really want to be categorized, don't they?
Indeed. And that desire itself is worth analyzing. Let's begin by examining this phenomenon through the first major topic: the rise of AI self-analysis tools. Our first story comes from a recent announcement about an AI-powered self-analysis method that was developed using data from 3,000 people. This product claims to be the ultimate self-analysis tool, and it's generating significant attention. The product launched on March 11th and is being marketed as a comprehensive method for understanding one's own personality and aptitudes.
I've seen things like this before. Apps that tell you your personality type, your ideal career, even your compatibility with others. But calling it the ultimate self-analysis, that's a pretty bold claim, isn't it?
It is. But let's analyze why such products resonate with people. The key psychological mechanism at work here is what we call external validation seeking. Humans have an inherent need to understand themselves, but self-reflection is inherently subjective and often unreliable.
So we don't trust our own judgment about ourselves? That seems a bit ironic, doesn't it?
It is ironic, but structurally understandable. There's a concept in psychology called the Barnum effect, also known as the Forer effect. This describes how people tend to accept vague, general personality descriptions as uniquely applicable to themselves. When an AI system provides analysis, people perceive it as more objective and authoritative than their own self-assessment.
Oh, I've heard of that. Like how horoscopes seem accurate even though they're written for millions of people.
Exactly. But AI self-analysis adds another layer: the perception of scientific authority. The mention of 3,000 people's data creates what we call statistical legitimacy. People are more likely to trust conclusions that appear to be data-driven, even if they don't fully understand the methodology.
That makes sense. We're taught to trust data and science. So when something says AI analyzed thousands of people, we assume it must be accurate.
Correct. And there's another psychological factor, what I'll call outsourced introspection. Modern life is complex, and genuine self-reflection requires time, effort, and emotional energy that many people feel they don't have. An AI tool promises to do this work for you quickly and conveniently.
I can definitely relate to that. Sometimes it feels easier to just get an answer from an app rather than really sitting with my thoughts and feelings.
This connects to a broader social trend: the commodification of self-knowledge. Understanding yourself has become a product to be purchased rather than a process to be experienced. The underlying structure here is that people are seeking certainty in an uncertain world.
So we're basically buying peace of mind? Like, the AI told me who I am, so now I don't have to worry about it?
In a sense, yes. But there's also a genuine desire for self-improvement. Many people use these tools not just for validation, but as a starting point for growth. They want to know their strengths and weaknesses so they can make better life decisions.
That's a more positive way to look at it. But are these AI analyses actually helpful for self-improvement?
That question leads us to our second topic. The Coaching Psychology Association has announced a new course focused on non-cognitive skills and personality understanding. This represents a significant shift in how we conceptualize human capability and potential.
Wait, what exactly are non-cognitive skills? I feel like I've been hearing that term more often lately.
Good question. Non-cognitive skills refer to abilities that aren't directly measured by traditional intelligence tests or academic assessments. These include things like emotional regulation, perseverance, social skills, creativity, and self-discipline. Sometimes they're called soft skills or character skills, though researchers prefer the term non-cognitive.
So things like being able to work well with others or not giving up when things get hard.
Precisely. The psychological significance here is that society is recognizing a fundamental truth. Success in life is determined by more than just IQ or technical knowledge. Research by economists like James Heckman has shown that non-cognitive skills are equally, if not more, predictive of life outcomes than cognitive abilities.
That's really interesting. So why are we seeing this focus on non-cognitive skills now?
Several structural factors are at play. First, the modern workplace increasingly values collaboration and adaptability over routine technical skills. Second, there's growing awareness that traditional education systems have overemphasized cognitive metrics like test scores while neglecting character development.
I can see that. In my job, being able to communicate well and handle stress seems just as important as knowing the technical stuff.
The timing of this course announcement is also noteworthy. It's scheduled for August 2026, indicating long-term planning. This suggests that organizations see non-cognitive skill development not as a passing trend, but as an enduring need in society.
But can these skills actually be taught? I always thought personality was something you're born with.
That's a crucial question, and modern psychology has a nuanced answer. While there are genetic components to personality traits, research shows that non-cognitive skills can be developed through targeted practice and coaching. The concept of neuroplasticity tells us that the brain can change throughout life.
So it's like a muscle? You can train yourself to be more patient or better at handling emotions.
That's a useful analogy. What's particularly interesting about this trend is how it intersects with the AI self-analysis phenomenon we discussed earlier. People are seeking external frameworks, whether AI or coaching courses, to help them understand and improve aspects of themselves that feel intangible.
It's like we need help seeing the parts of ourselves that are hard to measure or describe.
This brings us to our third topic, which adds another dimension to how personality affects life outcomes. Recent research suggests that your spouse's personality might significantly influence your career success. This finding challenges the individualistic notion that success is purely a matter of personal merit.
Wait, so my partner's personality could affect how successful I am at work? That's surprising. How does that even work?
The research identifies several mechanisms. First, there's what we call emotional spillover. A spouse with certain personality traits, particularly conscientiousness and emotional stability, creates a home environment that allows for better focus and recovery from work stress.
That makes sense. If your home life is chaotic or stressful because of your partner, it would be hard to perform well at work.
Second, there's the resource effect. A conscientious spouse often manages household responsibilities more effectively, freeing up their partner's mental energy for career pursuits. Third, there's direct influence through advice, networking, and emotional support.
So it's not just about emotional support, it's also practical stuff like handling household tasks and giving good advice?
Exactly. The psychological structure here reveals something profound about human nature. We are not isolated agents. Our outcomes are deeply intertwined with the people closest to us. This challenges the Western cultural narrative of the self-made individual.
That's kind of beautiful, actually. We're all connected, and the people we choose to be with shape who we become.
From an analytical perspective, this also connects to the broader theme we're observing. People are increasingly aware that success depends on factors beyond individual control or awareness. This awareness might be driving the interest in personality analysis. If you can understand personality, you can make better choices about partnerships.
So people might be analyzing potential partners' personalities to see if they'd be good for their career? That sounds a bit calculating.
It can seem that way, but let's consider the structure differently. Throughout history, marriage and partnership have always had strategic dimensions. What's changed is that now we have psychological frameworks to articulate these dynamics. The question is whether this awareness leads to more conscious, mutually beneficial partnerships, or to transactional relationships.
I guess it depends on how people use that knowledge. Like, you could use it to find someone you genuinely work well with, or you could use it to exploit someone's usefulness?
Precisely. The tool itself is neutral. The intention behind its use determines the outcome. This is a recurring theme in the psychology of self-improvement. Knowledge can be used for growth or manipulation. This theme of knowledge and intention connects to our final topic. Shinko Uchida, a prominent developmental psychologist and person of cultural merit, has been sharing insights on child rearing. Her perspective offers a different angle on how personality develops and how we should think about shaping human potential.
A person of cultural merit, that's a really prestigious recognition in Japan, right? She must have decades of research behind her.
Indeed. Uchida-san's work spans decades and focuses on how children develop cognitive and non-cognitive abilities. What's significant about her current engagement with parenting discussions is the bridge between academic research and practical application.
So she's helping parents understand the science behind raising kids? That seems really valuable, especially with all the conflicting parenting advice out there.
The psychological structure here is noteworthy. Parents today face what researchers call information overload anxiety. There's an abundance of parenting advice, much of it contradictory. A recognized authority figure like Uchida-san provides what we might call epistemic security, the feeling that one is following reliable guidance.
I can imagine. If you're a new parent, you want to do everything right, but there's so much information it's paralyzing. Having an expert you trust must be reassuring.
This connects to our earlier discussion about AI self-analysis. In both cases, people are seeking external validation and guidance. The difference is that developmental psychology, as practiced by someone like Uchida-san, emphasizes process and relationship rather than categorical outcomes.
What do you mean by process and relationship versus categorical outcomes?
AI self-analysis tends to produce categories. You are this type of person. Developmental psychology, in contrast, focuses on how relationships and experiences shape growth over time. It's less about what type is my child and more about how do I create an environment where my child can develop.
Oh, I see. One is about labeling and the other is about nurturing. That's a really important distinction.
This distinction has implications for how we think about personality overall. The categorical approach, whether through AI or personality tests, can be useful for self-understanding, but it risks creating fixed mindsets. The developmental approach emphasizes potential and growth. Let's synthesize what we've observed today. Across all four topics: AI self-analysis, non-cognitive skills training, spousal influence on success, and developmental psychology, we see a common thread. Modern humans are deeply invested in understanding and optimizing themselves and their relationships.
It really does all connect. We want to know ourselves, we want to improve our skills, we want better relationships, and we want to raise our kids well. And we're turning to psychology and AI to help us do all of that.
The underlying psychological structure reveals both anxiety and hope. Anxiety about making wrong choices in a complex world, and hope that with the right knowledge and tools, we can live better lives. The market for self-analysis and psychological frameworks responds to both these emotions.
But is this a good thing? All this self-analysis and optimization?
As observers, we don't judge good or bad. But we can note that self-awareness is generally valuable, while excessive self-scrutiny can lead to anxiety and paralysis. The key is balance, using psychological tools as guides rather than absolute truths, and remembering that human beings are more complex than any framework can capture.
That's a great perspective. Maybe the most important thing is to stay curious about ourselves without becoming obsessed with categorizing everything.
Indeed. And to remember that understanding ourselves is ultimately in service of living well and connecting meaningfully with others, not an end in itself. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of the human desire for self-knowledge.
Thanks for having me, New York. This was really eye-opening. Until next time, everyone, keep observing, stay curious, and maybe take those personality tests with a grain of salt.